Thank you for being with us on the program. First, let's start with what a potential response from Russia could look like.
Well, this was a targeted assassination, and this isn't entirely new that the Ukrainians have used this tactic before. Most spectacularly, they tried to kill Dugin, who's otherwise known as Putin's brain, a propagandist and philosopher. What happened at the end of the day was that Dugin didn't use his car to go home and lent it to his daughter, who was killed in a car bomb. And the Ukrainians have switching tactics. It's a new direction because up until now we've had like a formal war on the battlefields in Donbass, but slowly we're seeing this policy of targeted assassinations of key figures in the Russian hierarchy. In this case, a military one. Before it was a propagandist. And what the Russians will do in response remains to be seen, but there will be a response. I mean, the Kremlin always answers these kind of attacks. And they've been fairly restrained. I know there's been mass destruction in Ukraine, but there's still lots of things they could do. For example, Kiev itself has been hit with a few missiles, but things like the presidential administration buildings have not been targeted. And they haven't gone after senior figures in Ukraine in terms of either assassination or targeted missiles. And so all of these become possibilities. And it's unsettled everyone in the international community because what they're afraid of is there's a morphing of the conflict from a classic battlefield scenario to terror campaigns where Ukraine increasingly starts to target figures with bombs, and Russia is full of Ukrainians. There's a fifth column there, easily activated. And as Dasha said, this was an Uzbek who was hired. In the previous truck bomb on the Kerch Strait, again, the SBU, the Ukrainian Secret Services, hired a Russian, didn't tell him what was in the truck, got him to drive over the bridge, and then blew it up. And so this, as a tactic, is something that's now on the cards.
I mean, we often talk about de-escalation through escalation when it comes to the war in Ukraine. Do you think these tactics are going to work when it comes to that concept? Is it going to bring Russia to the negotiating table?
No, as Peter said, I mean, it's not going to change anything in the grand scheme of things. I mean, it's just going to make everybody dig in even deeper. So if anything, it makes negotiations even more difficult because the Russians are going to be outraged that they're being attacked on their home soil by what are classic terrorist tactics: bombs, assassinations, targeted killings. And so making peace, calling for a ceasefire in that environment is going to be even more difficult.
Okay, Ben Aris, thank you so much for being with me here on the NewsHour and sharing that insight with us. I appreciate it.